When you think about school meals, who comes to mind? For a lot of folks, there's this idea that these meals are only for kids from low-income households. But that's far from the whole story.
Welcome to School Food for Thought, the official podcast of the School Nutrition Association. In this special season, we're diving into the truth behind school meals, looking at some of the biggest myths out there and setting the record straight.
This episode is about who school meals are really for and why they matter for all students, regardless of background, because convenience, nutrition, and community shouldn't come with a stigma. With me today are three wonderful guests. Erin Heisem, Senior Child Nutrition Policy Analyst with FRAC. Michael Francis, Director of School Nutrition Services at Spring Branch Independent School District in Texas. And Dora Rivas, former President of the School Nutrition Association, school nutrition expert and trailblazer in this field. Dora is also from Texas. So let's dig in. Erin, let me start with you. Why do you think this myth still exists in many communities out there?
You know, the school meals being served today, they're not the school meals that we grew up with. They have improved leaps and bounds, nutritionally speaking, right? You have local products coming into the cafeteria. There's an abundance of colorful fruits and vegetables, wholesome whole grains, low-fat dairy, lean proteins. These are really nutrient-dense meals. They're the healthiest meals that children across the country get on any given day. And they really support learning, health, academic achievement. The school meal program is designed for everybody. Every student needs access to nutritious meals so that they can focus on the classroom rather than the hunger in their bellies. And the more children that are participating, the stronger our school systems will be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like sometimes that's not something that parents think about. And busy parents also have this need, right? If not, you're working and you're in a rush. So school meals are a great resource, but they are for all. So Dora, let me ask you, what does it look like when a school nutrition program is built for all students?
I've been a school nutrition participant since I was a little girl. And for me, I love my school lunch experience. But whenever I finally went into school nutrition as a professional, I had the opportunity to be able to see when children had to apply for free and reduced meals, and some children just could not afford to participate in the program. When I had the opportunity to start Provision 2, and that is where all children, regardless of their ability to pay, for them to be able to 100% participate in the program, I saw a dramatic change in the students when they came into the cafeteria. Even the teachers expressed that the students looked more relaxed. They weren't worrying about, do I have the money to pay? Is the lady in the cafeteria going to tell me my mom forgot to send in the lunch money? And so there was just a very calm experience when the students came in to eat. You could see them socializing in a very relaxed way. I've always seen the school meal program as an opportunity for children to learn healthy eating. So for them to be able to come in, socialize, and then go through the line and have selected a choice of meals that include a tray that included their meats, their fruits, their vegetables, their grains, their milk. And they could see what a healthy meal looked like. And it wasn't just for those that had the ability to buy the meal. It was the opportunity for all children to have that experience. My dad was a diabetic, and I went into the profession wanting to be able to teach children how to eat better. So for me, being able to have that experience for all students, whether regardless of their ability to pay, be able to take home with them a skill of being able to recognize of what a healthy meal looked like and take it home to their families, and then have the opportunity to teach their families as well what a healthy meal looked like, then not only did it make them healthier, but it also helped the whole family, the parents, the grandparents, the household learn how to eat better. And so for me, it is not just a school meal experience, but it extends on into the family.
Absolutely. And there are ripple effects to that. You want to say something, Erin?
Yeah, I think Dora just talked so eloquently about all of these benefits that we see, right? When we offer all students free school meals, when we offer healthy school meals to all students, it reduces that stigma that's often present in the cafeteria. If we categorize children by their household circumstance, it really creates a social hierarchy in a cafeteria. And children feel that, particularly as they get older, right? In middle schools and high schools, and social pressure is so meaningful to them. And when we take that away, when we offer free school meals to all students, either through Provision 2, the community eligibility provision, Healthy School Meals for All policies, we reduce that stigma and we see participation increase at all eligibility levels. And we see household food budgets, like you talk about, being stretched so that even at home, families are able to purchase better quality meals for their own dinner table because they know they can send their child to school and get a nutritious breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I know Michael wants to say something, but before I forget, one of the things that I heard, and this is, I had the opportunity because my parents bought me the lunch ticket, and I was able to eat in the cafeteria today, but my husband was a migrant, and so they could not afford to purchase a meal. So he would bring his bean and tortilla, and he would hide it. And it's to your point about the stigma. And so when I had the opportunity to be able to offer free meals and them going on to a large school district in Dallas, now my grandchildren go to school and they're able to go in and socialize with all of their friends, and there is no stigma. They're able to eat a healthy meal, give no thought to who is eating that meal, but just enjoy each other and enjoying their school meal.
Yeah, their anxiety is down, right? And I was gonna ask Michael, how you think the school meals help build a sense of belonging in the cafeteria and beyond?
It's the social media experience before social media.
That's right.
It's where everyone comes together and is there. And I think part of it for us, our job is to support student success. And I think using that area and that space for all of our students kind of helps be able to make that learning lab. We talked about learning, and that's what the cafeteria, that's what School Meals is about, learning about what you need to kind of help you continue through life, not just during your K through 12 experience, but as you even move further on, to be able to take that and be able to apply it to what you're doing. And I think that's the most important part. So that learning lab and just that overall connection with amongst your peers and amongst just everyone that's involved, it kind of really helps just build something to kind of take school meals and take what you're going to learn and just apply it on a daily basis.
And I have to agree with Michael, and I think Dora alluded to this earlier too. The lunch tray, it's really a living textbook.
Yep.
It teaches children how to create a wholesome meal that has all of the components, right? And they know what a whole grain looks like, what a fruit, what a vegetable looks like, and they can make that meal at home. And it teaches children. And then I'm a parent, and I know my children teach me all the time. And they go on and they spread those messages to their own families. I had a colleague who shared a story. She was in the grocery store, and in front of her in the produce section was a grandmother and a grandson. And the grandson picked up a kiwi, and he said, "Grandma, can we have this?" And the grandmother said, "What is that?" "Oh, what is that?" And we were in an inner city. She had no idea. It wasn't part of her culture before. And he said, "Grandma, this is a kiwi. I get this at school lunch." And so now that's a new exposure, not only for the child, but now for the grandmother as well. And I really cannot underscore enough that these are education programs, these are nutrition programs, and these really support not only the child, but the entire community.
It's about discovering new taste. And I think that's what we do on a daily basis, is trying to make sure they discover new taste so they can take it back home. And then when they're out in the grocery store and they're out and about, they can know, I had that here, so let me have that here. And so it's just utilizing all that. It's just finding new things you can try. And even if it's things you've already tried, you keep going about it and being able to discover that, as I mentioned, new taste from that energy.
And not being scared to try new things.
Exactly. Your story kind of reminds me of an experience I had with a parent. We would whenever they had open house for the school, we would open up the kitchens and then invite the parents to come and take a tour. And a parent came in and said, I want to thank you because we had never eaten whole wheat bread in our home, but our child said that this is the bread that you served, and for us to try it at home. And I thought, what a wonderful lesson to carry home to the family. And because we follow the dietary guidelines, it takes the dietary guidelines home for the family to learn,
Absolutely.
as well as recipes. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times parents asked for the recipes of some of the meals that we prepared.
It's a storybook. We're telling a story, and that's what it's about for us, telling our story to our families and what we do on a daily basis, because they don't know. And when they don't know, it's our opportunity to be able to kind of share that success, but also share the stories that we have that kind of helps when they're at home. They can be able to kind of relate to that, especially with the students themselves.
Yeah, how do you get them to try it out? Because, as a parent, like, try this, and they're like, no. And then, they come back home, they say, no, we had this thing at school that was amazing. And then you try to replicate it or buy something, they're like, no, that's not the thing we had at school. So what kind of magic are you guys working on
Well,
there?
one of the things that we would do, especially when we had new food items, we would have tasting trays and we would take them out to the students. And I remember one time going to a high school, and there were some students, and I sometimes would go and just talk to the students and ask them about how they liked the food. And there was some kids, and I noticed they didn't have any vegetables on their tray because they can choose whether or not to pick something up or not. And I would say, well, I'll tell you what, have you ever tried this red peppers? Because we have a red pepper tray. Or have you tried it? And they go, well, no. So I went into the kitchen and had the ladies set up samples of different things that we had on the line and took it to their table, and they tasted it. And they're going like, oh, wow, we didn't know that red peppers tasted, so good. And so I think a lot of this happens in the schools, is that the cafeteria staff takes items to the students and lets them sample, as well is that now we have had the farm to school programs where the farmers bring their fresh vegetables from the farm, and they talk about where the product was grown, how it was grown, and then they give samples to the students as well. And so there's a lot of nutrition education going on in the cafeteria.
Absolutely. And there's another thing too. We've been talking about income, right? Lower income and all that. But there's also the misconception that if you have dietary restrictions, be that, health related, allergy, or religious, restrictions, that school meals are not for you. What would you say, Michael, to a parent that might be, on the fence, and or maybe flat out, I don't think they can cater to me.
I think it's having that conversation and being able to share what we have and what we do, and be able to point them in the right direction on where to find the information they need from us, and we can get them what they need. I think our students are hungry, and so knowing that it doesn't matter your income level or what you need as a dietary restriction, we can meet that demand for you. And just knowing that we have to find different ways that will reach every customer. You talked a little bit about it. These customer experiences are what we're about, trying to make sure each and every student has the experience that's going to meet their demands and meet what they need to be successful in the classroom. And I just go back, it's about being successful in the classroom, and that's what we're here to support.
It's important for the parents to communicate to the cafeteria manager
Correct.
about any special dietary needs, because I think that the parents don't realize all of the things that the cafeteria has available for them. They have point of sale equipment that now if the parent has told the school that their child has a particular allergy or special diet, it will pop up when the student goes through the line to make sure. Parents are fearful that their child is not is they're afraid that something is going to happen if they don't provide the meals themselves, but
Or
they can be reassured that the cafeteria has the systems in place to be able to help protect their child. And often they also have dietitians that work with the nurse on campus to be able to work with the student on making sure that when they go through the line, they make the correct changes. And when they get to the end of a line, then the cafeteria cashier also looks at the screen and knows what is going on as far as their restrictions. So it's a team effort. The parent has to communicate with the nurse, and the nurse has to communicate with the cafeteria manager, and so it's a team effort. And the cafeteria staff is always very willing.
Let's say
To
talk
help.
about relationships.
Yeah.
So like you're talking about, like if you're a parent or a student, I've heard this too, don't be afraid to reach out to that cafeteria manager, to your school food service director. School nutrition professionals love their job. They love the children. They love the students, and they're not going to do anything that's going to harm or jeopardize your child. So if you have a concern about a cultural preference or a dietary preference or a particular menu item, just talk with them, form that relationship, because it really does take a whole community to make these programs accessible to everybody. Everyone should be involved in it.
Yeah, I think sometimes parents don't know that. I don't know about all the systems and all the checkpoints that, you'd have to go through because, I know parents that have children that are severely allergic to things and, how worried they are that this little thing that might trigger like a horrible reaction. So it's good to know. And I agree, Erin. It's about communicating.
And we want to keep it simple for them. We want to make sure where those resources are at, that they know where to find that they're not, because folks don't want to spend all day looking for that. So we have to make sure it's easy for them, whether it's the student, the parent, or everyone, because if not, then they're not going to want to go and find it. And so it's about making it accessible for everyone that's involved.
Everyone's busy.
Yes.
Right? Everyone's busy.
And so we talked about food being accessible, but I think the flip side of that too, that is the myth that we're, addressing here too, is appealing, right? So how do you make sure that the kids want to eat the food? Like it's safe to eat, it's nutritious, but now it's appetizing. How do you do to, because kids now, everything's on social media, their palates are very exotic and sometimes expensive now. How do you cater to those kids?
Go ahead.
I think it's about the marketing piece of it. We rebranded for ourselves and making sure we went from child nutrition to school nutrition to make sure we be able to kind of share that as far as on what we're doing, and then also just putting it out there available for them, having those sample trays available for those students, being able, as you talked about, being able to show those samples out there as far as with the students, talking with them, making sure they have an understanding, and making sure that the food that they're seeing is actually the food that we're talking about, whether if it's on an image or not. If it's a photo of a burger, we want to make sure they actually are seeing that exact burger that they're getting from what we already presented to them beforehand. And so it's just making sure they understand that they're getting the food that we're saying that we're providing.
That they're getting what they're signing up for.
Yes.
And many school districts also have food shows that the students can participate in. And if at some point when they're getting ready to plan the menu for the following year, vendors will come in and bring new food items that they're considering putting on the menu. And the kids get to vote on what they like and what they don't like. When I worked as a director at Dallas ISD and in Brownsville ISD as well, when I worked there, we had a food advisory council, and parents and the students both would come, and we would go through the menu. We'd go through what they like, what they don't like. We'd do menu satisfaction surveys, and then give them food samples of the items that were new, or we were considering putting on, or a new recipe. We would let them taste test before we would put it on the menu. And we would also, I worked with the Army Air Force Exchange, and I had a wonderful opportunity to work with a very diverse population. And I think that's the thing that I would want to stress to parents is that food service directors like Michael and many others are very willing to accommodate the cultural um, preferences of our customers, and we view our students as our customers. And so we enjoy having them come in and give us feedback when it's working. And then they're very honest about telling us when it's not working.
Yep.
They are.
Yeah, yeah. And as we're getting ready to wrap up, and we're talking about debunking myths and all that, I want each one of you to think a little bit. And so pretend that you're speaking to a parent that is on the fence about should I let encourage my child to eat school meals every day or most of the week. What would you tell them that would make them say, you know what, I think that's the right choice?
Well, I'll share a story in my
Of
house.
course.
So my son started kindergarten this year, and I have a daughter who goes to preschool at a different school. So mornings are chaos, right? I'm going out the door one way, my husband's going out the door the other way. It's just chaotic out there. And my son has always been this child where he wakes up, he has a glass of milk, and then he is not hungry for hours, for a few hours. And he wakes up about 6:30, and his school starts at 9:30. So it's the first week of school, and we're rushing out the door. Everyone's forgetting everything. And I look at the kitchen table, and there's his breakfast not touched. And I start to panic because I know lunch is not till 12:30. And now he's going to be off the wall and he's going to disrupt the whole class and that poor teacher. And I say, Dex, you didn't eat breakfast. And he said, Mom, it's okay. I'm going to eat breakfast in my classroom. And thank goodness for the school nutrition professionals in his school and for his school district. And they serve him breakfast in the classroom every single day. And now my child doesn't qualify for free and reduced price meals, but he needs that breakfast at that time for his body so that he can be successful in the classroom. And so it's really a benefit for all of us parents, all families, to be able to have access to that nutrition when the child wants and needs it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And I would just add that if there's a parent out there and they're looking at their school district offering breakfast in the classroom, that is one of the best benefits to their children, because if they don't have the opportunity to get it at home, they get it offered to them in the classroom. I had a teacher one day that told me, I was not that sold on the program when I started, but once the students started to have breakfast in the classroom, it was a team effort. The cart came in with the food. Every child had a responsibility. One would put the spoons out, another one would pass out the food. Then they would all collect the trash. And the teacher said, this is not just teaching them to or preparing them for learning, which it does. They were more focused, better behaved. But she said one of the things that a lot of our kids don't do is learn how to serve each other. And so this was an opportunity for them to be able to help their fellow students and to serve others other than just have their meal brought to them. And so I've always remembered that, because the breakfast program was so much more than just providing a breakfast and getting them ready to learn, but also one that was socialization and learning, teaching the students to help each other.
Yeah, perfect. Before we go, Michael, you.
Let me take you on a tour. Let me take you on a tour of the kitchen. Let me show you as far as what we do and being able to kind of show that experience for them. I think that's the main thing. I want to be able to show you what we do, and our staff will be happy to be able to show you what happens on a daily basis in the kitchen.
Absolutely. Show, not tell, right? So thank you so much, Erin, Michael, and Dora. It's been a pleasure. I've learned a ton. It's great having you here. So to wrap up today, school meals are for everyone, supporting health, equity, and community one tray at a time. I want to thank you all, and I want to tease our next episode. Next time, we're going to be unpacking the debate between school meals and home packed lunches. What is the better option?